Journalism at IIMC under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. Previously, she was holding the charge of Course Director, Department of Advertising and Public Relations at IIMC, and was a member of the Executive Council and IIMC Society. She started her career as a correspondent with the Tribune and also worked with an ad agency as a media planner before shifting to academics in 2003. Dr. Daya was the SUSI Scholar from India in the year 2017. She studied journalism at Ohio University and was also certified from the United States State Department. She has been awarded the prize from National Library of Poetry in 1994, National Award for Contribution to Mass Communication Education in India, and Excellence in the Field of Journalism and Education in 2019. Good afternoon, ma'am, and welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. Thanks. Thank you for your kind words.
Ma'am, is there a PPT you want to share? No? Okay.
No, I just speak.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, you can start. Yeah.
All right. I was waiting for your... All right. Thank you. So very good afternoon to all the students and all the faculty members and all the, audience members. I would be speaking on the business models of Indian media industry. So, as the saying goes that as the company evolves, the business model becomes a message. So today we will be talking about this only. And I'll be giving you a brief about the media industry in a bit. And also we'll be talking about different media management models prevalent in the media industry in India today, and how these models are changing over the time. And in case you wish to discuss any particular media house and its business models, you can ask a question in the chat box or otherwise. So, in this competitive era, the only constant that I would say is change. And media organizations too are under a constant pressure to change, to innovate, to survive, to re-examine their existing business models, to maintain their market position. Now, in view of the fast moving and changing external environment and the shifting of goals of media organizations, I'm trying to map these changes in my research and innovations in managing media organizations in India. By identifying some factors that are responsible for the initiation and sustenance of these changes that are coming in the media organizations. So I would like to start from the very beginning, like, much before the media organizations, they came to be recognized primarily as economic organizations in India, especially with profit and wealth generation being their bottom lines, as in one or any other business organizations. So media organizations were long seen as social organizations with an avowed objective of serving the society with a philanthropic, with a missionary and an altruistic zeal. So, this approach towards mass media was rooted in the communication theorists' earlier preoccupation with communication, which sort of tended to follow a different paradigm other than that of mass media. So the commercial profit making and the oldest and the most seasoned media houses in India, they were born not out of an interest in the say commercial profit making, while some others they were born out of a need, say for mirroring the voice of the people amidst tensions of the nationalist movements and the freedom struggles. Now, once the colonial rulers they were ousted from the country, the media industry it began to grow at a very unprecedented pace. So the interest of the entrepreneurial classes they started taking precedence over everyone else's interests. So in this post-colonial period, the behavior of the mass media it changed from a missionary to to becoming more professional in nature. Now, media industry, it began to take shape of a strict business model and a proper industry whose primary motive was profit generation. Now, this was the time, when business actually started in happening around the media industries in India. So the mass media organizations, they were now manifesting into full-fledged business entities that dealt in the economic product line of mass media messages rather than serving just as a vessel for communication of information. So, like their industrial counterparts, the mass media organizations, it manufactured the media products for consumption. So this called for standardization of the products. So the rising consumption of the media messages developed into media standardization, of its economic products, I would say, just similar to the production of industrial goods, so produced by their industrial counterparts. So the products were revamped to improve sales, and advertisers were brought in. And this called for planning and organizing and directing and coordinating and controlling of the media organization's activities with, with an overall objective of maximization of profits. So, management of resources, manpower, media content, they became a necessity as well as the mantra of success. So we will be, discussing all the business models in print, in electronic, in radio, one by one, as we just see how it all started. So after, the nation, it stepped out of the infancy of the industrial age. Media organizations, they grew by leaps and bounds, and they began to resemble a traditional business organization. And in the 20th century, India was entering into a highly complex industrial age, and the number of media organizations, they were mushrooming everywhere, and the old ones were growing in size, and they were developing and they were diversifying themselves from print to electronic to digital. So the digital age brought ceaseless opportunities for expansion and diversification of products and ventures. And I remember reading, in a book, Robin Jeffrey sees he had written that, in a series of articles in EPW and others, that three factors helped in growth of Indian language press, basically: the growth of literacy, the rise of capitalism, and the spread of technology. So both offset technology and communication, they helped the use of, say, fax or satellite editions. It was time for business, and this message was loud and clear at that time, that media, mass media, I would say, is an economic activity. So if we talk about media firms or organizations, they were now economic organizations striving and thriving on a passion for profit maximization. So, over the time, modern media organizations have become highly sophisticated, and they have turned into media giants and big corporate houses that were serving a gamut of product mix. You take any organization, you name it, and I can tell you. For example, if you talk about the Times of India, so how Times of India started as a single paper in back in 1838 as the Bombay Journal of Commerce, and how the name changed to the Times of India, and how they diversified into each and every segment, whether it was Hindi or Marathi, Nav Bharat Times or Maharashtra Times or Mumbai Mirror, or the supplements called Delhi Times or Mumbai Times, and how economic times, how they diversified into capturing audience which was interested in share markets, and then how they diversified into various magazines, say Femina or Filmfare, so capturing each and every market, you know and then how they diversified into television. So today they have around 8 televisions. They have Zoom TV, Times Now, ET Now, and so on and so forth. Then they diversified into Times Internet Limited, so the digital sector. They also diversified into books called Time Books, and they also diversified into event management company called 360 Degrees. So what I mean to say is that over the time, the modern media organizations, they have become highly sophisticated, big corporate houses, and they have turned into media giants. And they're all striving for a gamut of product mix to their consumers. And they were now being managed by highly trained professionals, and this in turn increased their viability to the advertisers. They started hiring professionals from the management category to manage it professionally. For example, I was telling about Times of India, how they hired employees of the World Bank to give it a professional shape. So in economics, if we talk about economics, the production is defined as an activity, that involves conversion of resources or inputs like raw material, ideas, knowledge into outputs like goods or services. So if you read the Doyle, Gillian Doyle, firms, he defines firms as establishments, where production is carried out and industries consist of a number of firms producing a commodity for the same market. So how is a media firm different? The concept of a media firm, he says that it also spans a variety of different types of business organizations. So media enterprises are strategically organized economic entities that focus on expanding media, and whose central work is, I think, generating and marketing of all the media. So we can also assume that media business bundles around internally and externally generated content and its transformation into a medium. Now, marketing is about direct or indirect distribution of media content. So hence, in this prism, if you see it in this prism, media is restricted to model of one to many communication with one sender and a large number of consumers. So the expression of media in this regard is limited to communication between a sender and multiple receivers. So media markets, however, they differ from other economic enterprises, and they are multidimensional, and they operate in at least three markets, I would say. Now, they not only sort of operate in these three markets, but we should know what they are. I would say they not only package the content and sell it to the consumers, but they also sell space to the advertisers and media management companies. So this packaged content is then sold as newspaper or as prism. Um, you know, if you see in this prism, you can say prime time news. So there is a third market also, and this third market is the procurement market. So the procurement market, as not all content is produced in-house. So from procurement markets, service packages of both information as well as entertainment, they are brought. And for example, they can acquire contracts or licenses from the concerned authors or artists or any media worker. So purchasing complete rights to an event, though, can turn the procurement market to business markets. But in other words, media firms, they now range from single proprietor to major stock exchange listed companies, and from an amateur publisher to a vast television corporation. And what all media firms have in common is that they are involved somehow in producing, packaging, and distributing the media content. Now, as media organizations are marching towards becoming economic entities, planning, organizing, directing, controlling, coordinating of the media organization's activities, they were now important for the overall objective of the maximization of profits and effective administration as well, because they run media as an industry. Because if you see the FICCI reports during the recession time in 2008, 2009, when all the industries were facing the ill effects of recession, Indian media did not suffer so much. It's so big an industry. So the management aspect, it began to gradually take the center stage, and the media owners, they started to realize that it was extremely important for the very realization of the profits. Now, if you talk about uh, media management models, there are many models which we'll be just discussing, but the two models of strategic analysis that stand out while explaining how business organizations develop a competitive edge over their rivals are the resource based model and the positioning model. So, if you talk about the resource based model, it is primarily suited for an already existing organization that wants to enter a completely new era or area of business with the help of its existing financial resources. So, you invest, you earn, you reinvest out of your earning, and that's how you are following a resource based model. So, according to this model, an organization evaluates its own financial well being and capacity to formulate a new business strategy and the strategic competitiveness, basically. So, this resource based model, it builds up with the help of its internal resources and capabilities, a competitive advantage over its rivals to develop itself as an attractive industry by implementing strategies for its growth and superior returns on investments. So, resource based view or model systems, it recommends that organizations, they ought to find out advantages and abilities that are unique to their organization and can't be imitated, consequently securing the association with learning boundaries. Now, this approach is particularly essential and significant in the media business on account of the one of a kind, financial attributes of data items. The other model that I just named was the positioning model, and it is also called as the market focus model. In other terms, we also call it as the strategic stretch. So we in the resource based model we say it is a strategic fit, and in the positioning model, in the market focused model, we call it as a strategic stretch. So what happens is that in the positioning model or the market focused model, it is better suited in situations where the organizations are new. I'll give you an example. For example, we were talking about the Times Group. So, it invested, it earns, and then it, reinvests its money into a different business or a different product line or for diversification. That's resource based, basically. So, in the positioning model, if the company is new, for example, during liberalization of the economy, ZTV started. So what happened? It was a new company. It required money. So it positioned itself here and then it repays the debt later. You know? So the positioning model is better suited in situations where the organization is new and it is examining projects for investments. So based on the positioning model or the market focused model, it suggests that external environment should be considered as primary determinant in deciding company's strategy and what course of action an organization is going to take. So it is called the market focused model as it lays emphasis on environment scanning, external environment in this case, detection of opportunities, threats, SWOT analysis, strategy formulation, asset and skill generation, execution of strategy, and augmented, returns. It is essential to understand the business models that have emerged in the media industry in the recent years. So, as all of you know, what is business? An organization or enterprising entity engaged in a commercial, industrial or a professional activity is called as business. All of us know this. So businesses can be for-profit entities or non-profit entities, right? Or for non-profit organizations that operate to fulfill a charitable mission or further a social cause. So what is a business model? Basically, a business model is a conceptual structure that supports the viability of a product or company and explains how the company operates, makes money, and how it intends to achieve its goals. So, all the business processes and policies that a company adopts and follows are part of the business model. So, it acts like the backbone of the revenue stream in any business organization. And all the strategies are built according to the basic model that one company is following. So, a business model is a description of the rationale of how a company creates, delivers, and captures value for itself as well as for the customers. So, aside from the resource based model and the market focused model that I just described, media organizations they follow various other models to generate revenue and market expansion. So, media organizations, say in the print sector, they rely on subscription based model, distribution model, advertising models, to name a few, especially in the face of industry's changing trends. So subscription business models are based on an idea of selling a product or service to receive monthly or yearly, recurring subscription revenues. So in essence, subscription based business models focus on the way revenue is made so that a single customer pays multiple payments for a prolonged access to a good or a service. Now you see in the period of corona, in the period of pandemic, the print media was relying on subscription where all of us stopped buying newspapers. So this subscription based model, in 2019 when the report came, it showed print showed a degrowth of 3%, but it showed an increase of 2% in the subscription based revenues. But at the same time, when we talk about the pandemic year, the 2020 year, print media suffered a loss of around 4,500 crores. So, but if you see the digital media organizations, and I was interviewing some of the owners of the digital media organizations in India, all of them, believe me, all of them, whether you name it as the print or the scroll or the wire or India Spend or Boom's Life, they all want to thrive on subscription based model because they say that if we go for a subscription based model, we'll be able to do journalism. So it's not the story for only print media but also the digital media. Those digital media organizations who wish to uh, come out with a subscription based model. I'm trying to list down all the business models of all the media houses in India, and I'll take 20 years to do that. I've done half my work, and my three books are coming. So, I mean, it will take within a year, those three will come. So, they will describe at least, 10 business models in 10 different organizations. And for digital media organizations, how these business models, what are the business models that are working? I'm working on a fourth book. So the the media organizations in India, they follow different business models, whether it is print or it is digital. Subscription for the digital media is also required. Let's move to the next one. The distribution based business model is one in which the company's survival depends on its ability to have one or a few key distribution channels to connect to its final user or consumer. it is important to note that almost any business can be classified as a distribution based business model, as there is no company that can survive without distribution. So an advertising led model is a strategic use of an advertising medium, with the goal of reaching a specific target audience. An advertising medium is a type of media or a vehicle the advertising is placed on. So the advertiser pays money to the medium which floats the former's advertisements. The medium charges money for the display of advertisements, as all of us know, and they often generate a substantial amount of their revenue through the allowance of such advertisements. So print media uses this method to generate a substantial amount of their revenue. But digital advertising is also growing. TV is also there, which thrives on television advertising. Another model that I need to discuss here is pay as go. This model is called as pay as go, utility business model. So this utility business model, um, it charges as per the usage of the product or the service. So often print media uses this technique to sell their issues. For example, the selling of newspapers off the stands of, or of their stores. So even though one might argue that the usage of this model by the print media is not direct, it in the sense that consumers purchasing individual copies of newspapers issues, uh, they pay for each such piece which is bought directly to the store. But in this ever pervading digital world, this nexus is pertinent to highlight the distant strategy of print media to stay afloat and in business. So pay as go utility business model is another one that I just discussed. Now, as you know, the print legacies which have diversified into radio and TV, it is important to look at the emerging business models in these sectors too. So the introduction, I would say, of hyper localism, that's also a model, and the multi-platform approach into the radio industry to reach local audiences is also worth noting. So hyper localism, what do you mean by that? So it means having an unyielding focus on local content, promotions, and community engagements. The opportunity for hyperlocalism is growing quickly across many markets as radio, TV, newspapers, they are increasingly rely on more syndicated and national content. So many local media are not very local at all anymore, including their community actions. Meanwhile, the consumers they desire for hyper-local service, it has fueled the growth of community and promotion-based websites and social networks. So some of these new media outlets they are quickly establishing their presence in the absence of true local media from the traditional outlets. So hyperlocalism, it requires staff infrastructure and an investment in resources, but returning to the harvest of this low-hanging fruit is critical for radio's survival. So thus, it is a key component, you would say, of radio's new business model. And multi-platform means the go it along days of AM and FM service are basically gone. So the new opportunity that exists today is in building successful brands and in content creation and programming. So content can be disseminated over the internet to the cell phones or iPods and other portable devices as easily as it can be broadcast over the traditional FM platform. So working with local media Partners in print, in TV, in internet will be critical to winning competitive battles ahead. So, in some cases, it might be advisable to purchase, acquire, or co own these local media properties. So, the new radio business model incorporates many new revenue streams that are currently either minimum or non existent. So the mix of revenue streams, they may vary from market to market. In some markets, the optimum arrangement mix may favor the use of digital opportunities, while in others, it may focus on events and promotions to generate revenues. So in any case, the common theme of the new business model is local. Regional journalism is also growing. So while the current trend in radio broadcasting today is to rely on a national syndicate content, hyperlocalism is and has always been, I would say, at the heart of the radio's success. Now, if we talk about diversification in the television vertical, which has opened up new avenues of opportunity for organizations that rely on attention merchant, monopolistic, and agency-based business models. Now, this is a new business model. Uh, I'm speaking about this here only for the first time. Attention merchant business model that generates revenue by investing in human attention is called as attention merchant business model. So these types of business models run on attention merchant who works on grabbing the attention or focus, and a monopolistic market is a theoretical construct that describes a market where only one company may offer to different sources and channels. So in a purely monopolistic model, the monopoly firm can restrict output, raise prices, and enjoy supernormal profits. And in an agency business model, it is one that is based on a client paying an agency a fee for its service. So the fee based on the number of full-time employees working on that business as well as the scope of business that agency can handle. So different television organizations use this agency based models also to promote their networks. So the media industry, if you talk about, it has culminated into a phase of mass digitization, and it sees a heavy reliance on digital media models like the hidden revenue model, the freemium model, and the instant news business models, for instance. Now, ad based models or the hidden revenue business models, as the name suggests, they have their business models hidden. So, most popular companies who follow these business models are Google, Facebook. They're entirely based on advertising revenue generation when people click on advertisements. And every time the customer clicks on the link of the Google which says add next to its company, it gets paid by the advertising firm. Same goes with Facebook, wherein the news feed is the place Facebook monetizes its advertisements. Now, subscription based, as I was telling you, this business model for more than a decade in the past have relied on fixed schedules of the business, media business. Now, people used to watch late night shows, which were live or repeat telecast of the same show on the next day morning. But with the increase in the usage of YouTube videos, online video streaming companies like Netflix, which have gained popularity. Netflix is an on-demand subscription-based business model. Again, it is subscription-based. Even if it is an OTT, what is the model? It is subscription-based. So this on-demand subscription-based model, wherein the subscribers can take a subscription whenever they want to watch a particular TV show or a movie, and their subscription at their own convenience, could be Netflix, Amazon Prime. These instant news business models encompasses the dire need of the audience people they want to know the happenings around the world instantly. So Facebook is serving that purpose partly, I would say. In such cases, apps like InShots, which provide news in 60 seconds, instantly, 60 words, have come into the limelight. So Twitter also serves the purpose of instant news with the trending hashtags. So users can simply check the trending hashtags to know the current topics. That is news apps, Twitters, etc. So other business models like the freemium model, it applies a very clever strategy of the drawings, of drawing the customers in with a free product maybe, or while making certain features exclusive or available to the top 10 premium top paid users. Could be Skype, could be gaming, could be music, anything. So, business models, my dear friends, they act like the backbone of the revenue stream in any organization, and all the strategies are built according to the basic models that one follow. Aside from the resource based model and the market focused model, media organizations they follow various other models to generate revenue and market expansion. So media organizations in the print sector they rely on subscriptions, distribution, advertisement models, to name a few, especially in the face of the industry's changing trends. The introduction of hyperlocalism and the multi platform approach into the radio industry to reach local audiences is also worth noting. Diversification, I would say, in the television vertical, which has opened up new avenues of opportunity for organizations. They rely on, as I said, attention merchant, monopolistic, agency based. The media industry, which has culminated into a phase of mass digitization, they see a heavy reliance on media, digital media models like the hidden revenue freemium and the instant news business models, for instance. So today the world, is changing, and today, challenges are very different because there is no choice but to embrace the technology of the internet and the www, since new media is gaining traction. So there is also the challenge of information consumer becoming what I remember Nick Going calls the information doer. In the legacy media, management hierarchies consisting of editors, program producers, television editors, anchors, they become mediators of information flow, acting as gatekeepers for the information that comes and goes through. Now, with the new age devices, what has happened is that these filters have fallen, so creating a breeding ground for evils like fake news and disinformation. So in India it is an even greater challenge, with credible media houses fall into the trap and become purveyors of fake news, but that has not dislocated the dominant position the print holds. So newspapers are still hailed as safety nets. The public can fall back on the credible sources of information, something that new media or new age media is very susceptible to. These are far greater challenges than challenges of reach and relevant content to earn advertising revenues. One of the management guru, he spoke that there will be pluses and minuses. So his prediction was that it affects industry, but they would adapt effective strategy, and most businesses will be able to integrate internet into their strategy, which is happening now. So if we find that what he predicted long back, it has come to pass. Now, the other important changes are usually social media to cater and to customize news on iPads or iPods and apps. So the key decision variables that companies had to grapple with were how to embrace the internet while retaining the print, source of content, and change strategies. Of course, with e-papers such as the Hindu and the Indian Express going behind the paywalls. Now this is another model. The question remains, will the Indian reader ever pay for the content? Or like the large number of other print media survive on advertising revenue, which raises many ethical questions and the reliability of the news as well. So due to the overarching commercialization caused by the advertising, the media markets have seen an amalgamation of the business management solutions, print, radio, television, digital sectors, everything. Manjula ji, you will have to tell me how much time I have so that I speak accordingly. Your mic is off, I think.
Ma'am, actually, we almost done with your time.
Okay.
I
Because
found it very rude to tell, but it was so
I,
interesting. But there are
I
paper
am done
questions.
because I'm done with the business models, and if
Yeah.
we still have time, I can go on with the media industry landscape and how the size of the media industry
Ma'am,
has
I'm
changed.
sorry, but
But
we
if
don't
we don't
have
have
time.
time, then
Yeah. I think we'll
I
take
can
another
stop here.
5 minutes for some questions also, because I can see that there are paper presenters, very senior researchers who have joined us. Dr. Martin sir is there, Suresh Gorji is there,
Okay.
and a lot of students will have a lot of questions. So you just finish, ma'am, then
Sure,
we'll.
I have finished.
Okay.
I have finished about the business models, and the floor is open for questions. So if
Yeah.
anybody wants to discuss anything,
Yeah.
then they're most welcome.
Okay. I think the questions are there in the chat box. Would you like me to read it, or will you?
Yes, you can take the questions. You can read whatever you
One
want.
sec, one sec. My
Hello, good evening, ma'am. I'm Surya Gunay. I'm assistant professor with the department.
Yes,
We have a few questions in the chat box
yes.
from Krutarth Patnaik. The first question is, good afternoon, ma'am. Do you think that it is safe to have profit as the main objective of a media organization? Can fulfill its obligation to the society ethically then in that way?
So as I said, when media organizations started in India, some of their award objective was to serve the society, and there were other media organizations that did not start with this objective, right? As I told you about the Times of India, it started in 1838. It was started by the first editor was, I think, Dr. J. E. Brennan. So Dr. J. E. Brennan was the Secretary of Commerce at that time. So he used to take all the trade related news from his office, and he used to publish in this paper, which was then called as the Bombay Journal of Commerce. And he used to distribute it in the steamship engines, and basically it catered to the British residents in India. Now, after independence, because majorly, the papers that started, they started with this award objective of serving the society. If you talk about the Hindustan Times, for example, it was started by the Akalis in 1924. So once this objective was, achieved, and India got independence, around that time, um, I remember Times of India was passed on to Indian hands to Ramkishan Dalmia in 1946. So after this, what happened, that they had already achieved what they wanted to. So now their aims and objectives, they started changing. So slowly, when the newer generation came in, whether it was Samir and Vineet Jain in the Times Group, or it was Shobna Bharti in the HT, or it was Vivek Goenka in the Indian Express, or many others. What happened was that in late 80s when they joined. There, all these people were very well educated in journalism from, Columbia and other universities, Pennsylvania. So they started bringing in marketing and professionalism to the Indian media houses. And profit maximization was their bottom line. Any supplement which was not working out in terms of money, they were shut down. I read in a magazine that the Illustrated Weekly, which was a very famous supplement or a paper brought out by the Times Group, was shut on a table of billiards. So yes, today media is an industry. We teach our students to do honest journalism, and we always will, keep on teaching that. But be ready when you go to the industry. uh, Media is an industry, and it's $1 million industry.
Thank you, ma'am, for that interesting presentation. And you can see that the chat box is brimming with questions. We will request all the students and the teachers, whichever questions are there, we'll take a note of it and we'll mail it to ma'am so that she can send you the answers, because there are like another 30 people waiting out there for their presentations. They have their paper presentations starting now, ma'am, the participants, and we'll be very happy if you join us for some of them, because it will continue on the same link. But I must tell you that this is something which I have done in my thesis. It's very close to what you are talking about. Only thing is, I've done it with the Marathi newspapers in Mumbai, and I just completed it like last year. And I must tell you that so much of it is like, I agree with everything that you are talking about. And I think I must meet and get a lot more inputs from you, since you're writing 4 books. That means there is so much information that
So
you have with you.
about these business models, there's a book which might come out next year,
Yeah.
by Oxford. It's on Indian
Okay.
media giant.
Lovely, lovely.
I will be telling you as and when it is out. So
Excellent, ma'am.
we can
Excellent.
have a talk on that later.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. And Suresh ji, thank you so much for being there. I can see that there are other paper presenters who already joined and they're sending their messages. Ma'am, you should read all those. I think a lot of them are there on the chat box for you. Fantastic session, very insightful and engaging. And it was like a story, if everybody wants to agree with me. We just kept thinking that how beautifully you kind of connected right from the history to what it is present. And, the way you discuss the MSOs, the multiple screen options, which are going to be very, very crazy going forward, about the news and about the content and how it has to be customized for, finally the customer is the king, and readers are the ones whom we have to, as journalism goes beyond journalism. So these were some points which were discussed in the morning also and yesterday also, that digital media is going to give us a lot more different ways of looking at media content also. So personally, on behalf of my department, we are a few students here and my teachers. Thanks to the COVID, we are not able to have a packed auditorium. But if it happens next year that we can do it in the auditorium, then definitely we would like to invite you and be a part of it offline.
Sure, my Dr. Manjula. Thank you for inviting me. All the students and teachers are welcome to join me on my social media handles, maybe Facebook or Twitter.
Yes.
In case they want to ask me a question, I mean, they can,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Surbi Dahiya, for such an engaging, interesting session. We were really looking forward to the session, and I'm sure all our students and the paper presenters also learned a great deal from your talk. Thank you very much once again. I would now like to declare that the invited talk session for today is over. We will now move on to the paper presentation sessions. Our convener and head of the department, Dr. Manjula Srinivas, will brief all the paper presenters about how exactly we are going to conduct the presentations. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello. See, the thing is, we have about 47 or 48 approved abstracts from the peer committee. So congratulations to all those paper participants and paper readers, presenters. Since it's pandemic and we are not able to accommodate so many of them one after the other, plus the chairpersons for all the 5 sessions will be finding it very difficult to listen to so many papers. So what we are going to do is we are going to use 5 breakup rooms and 4 breakup rooms, and in each breakup room you will be asked to go as a paper presenter, and we will hop from one room to the other virtually to see that things are in place. So the chairpersons are there, the paper presenters are there, and there are other people who want to join you while you make the presentations. And the same thing we will do tomorrow in the morning between 8:30 and 10:30 before the invited speakers come on board. So please bear with us with this slight change that we have done in our scheduling. And in case you think that you need more information from a speaker or you need more information from a presenter, we request you to mail us all that so that we can carry on smoothly the paper presentations. We stick to our time. My department team might be slightly rude by telling you that, listen, you finished your time and you have to wind up. So don't give us that chance to do it. We request you all to enjoy your paper presentations, and these sessions are the best ones, which gives us additional inputs into what's happening with this particular area, which is digital media literacy. Thank you so much. Yes, over to Surya.
We will now be creating the breakout rooms in the Zoom, in the same Zoom room. Just give us 5 minutes to assign the names to the breakout rooms and assign all the participants to the respective rooms where your paper presentations are going to be held. Students, please wait in this main room only. You're not supposed to log out from the session. We will also be assigning you to the specific breakout room. Just bear with us for 5 minutes. We are getting all the settings done in the Zoom room and immediately getting back to you with the details. Just in 5 minutes, we will be starting the paper presentations. Thank you very much. Paper presenters, please note, please refer to the detailed schedule that has been sent to you by the conference administration team. We are creating breakout rooms according to those sessions. So breakout room number 1 will be parallel session 1, news and media. The chairperson is Dr. Sanjay Ranade. Parallel session 2 will be media in business. Breakout room 2, that is, chairperson is Dr. Hanif Lakdawala. Parallel session 3, breakout room number 3, will be digital platforms. Chairperson, Dr. PJ Matthew Martin, sir. Parallel session 4, breakout room 4, miscellaneous section, chairperson, Dr. Preeti Oza. As soon as the breakout rooms are created, all the participants will be given an option to go to their specific breakout room. Please choose, all the paper presenters are requested to please choose breakout room as per their sessions. I'll repeat, the breakout room 1 is for news and media. Breakout room 2 is for media in business. Breakout room 3 is for digital platforms. And breakout room 4 is for miscellaneous. You can see the room classification on the screen as well. Please choose your rooms. Just give us another couple of minutes to create the rooms, and soon you will be able to join the specific breakout room. Thank you. I'll just read out the names of the paper presenters according to their rooms so that you know which room you have to be in. Ashwatha Narayan SL and Dr. Rajeshwari R. I'm reading the names for breakout room 1, which is news and media, chaired by Dr. Sanjay Ranade. Ashwatha Narayan SL and Dr. Rajeshwari R. Priyank Bhatt and Professor Punita Harne. Gautam Balasamy, Shruti Joshi, Nandini Menasagi, Nishka Shah and Gael D'Souza, Khushi Desai. Breakout room 2, media and business, chaired by Dr. Hanif Lakdawala. I'll read out the names of the paper presenters in that room now. Seema Narendran, Dr. C. Shriram, Vinod Rao N, Dr. Rajeshwari R, Dr. Romani Sen Shitak, Mrs. Mehak Sukhani, Ashish Mehta, Arya Jayavant, Asha Shankar, and Dr. Sanjay Ranade. Breakout room number 3, digital platforms, chaired by Dr. PJ Matthew Martin, Dr. Ashish Gadekar and Kiran Bhujan, Velaros Suvina Pereira, Mrignayani Mukherjee and Rashmi Gehlot, Gunjan Shah and Nikita Hiwalkar, Gunjan Punwani. These were the names of breakout room number 3 for digital platforms. Now I'll read out the names for breakout room number 4. Niket Mehta, Bhavna Singh, Meenu Paul, Sakshi Chandran, Pankaj Kamane, Anuradha Konwar. These are the names in breakout room number 4, chaired by Dr. Preeti Oza. Thank you. Rooms have been created. The breakout rooms have been created by the tech team. You can select the breakout room that you want to join and that you are supposed to join, and then join the paper presentation session that you are supposed to be the part of. Thank you.